Hello everybody, Gisele Grenier here. In this video lesson, I'm going to be creating another little simple mixed media piece. We're gonna work on minimalism with this here. Not so much minimalism is the elements, but minimalism in color. So what I've got here is I've got the DecoArt media line. I've got the crackle paste white. I've got interference blue, interference turquoise, quinacridone burnt orange, ultramarine blue, and titanium white. I have a quote already picked for this. The change you started already have far-reaching effects. Be ready. And I just printed that on canvas paper. I have a little piece of oatmeal packaging, and what I did is I coated it with the DecoArt media, texture paste, and this with palette knife, and then I pushed in with paper towel cores, and I did lines and all that stuff. I have a video already done using the modeling paste, so you can refer to that for some ideas. I have a piece of paper from an old book that was destined for landfill, so just picked it up for a quarter, and I'm going to put that there. But we're going to paint this white. So I'm going to be using the DecoArt chalky gesso because I love the finish on that. And I already shook it, then let it sit for a little bit. And every time I open this and the paint comes down, I always get messages from people saying, put some saran wrap inside the lid. I know, I keep forgetting to do that. I keep forgetting to do that. All right, so I'm going to take some gesso, and I'm just going to, I want to tone this down. This is going to be a very high key piece. Primarily white with very little color, but it's going to be quite the thing. The quote I picked saying the change you started already have far-reaching effects. The whole thing is that you don't have to do something big to affect somebody's life. You can do something quite small to make a change. And I was inspired by something I did recently for somebody, and it was quite personal, so I'm not going to get into the details, but it took me an hour, and they were blown away. So I kind of like to go with the thing of give what you'd like to receive. So if you want people to be nice to you, be nice to people. If you want people to give you help, give help to somebody. Okay, that's my woo-woo chant for the day. And I'm going to take, so I'm going to let that dry. Now I'm going to create a little sky color. Yeah, I'm really going to use it that much, right? Okay. Very little ultramarine blue. And a brush. Brush. Ooh, too dark. You know what I'm going to do though? I don't want any satin finish on this. I'm going to use the gesso. I don't want any. I love the feel of this gesso. See, now I'm putting it back on knowing that it's going to make a crusty thing. And you know what's funny? I have like 5 boxes of saran wrap downstairs. Woe is me. I've moved my studio into the smallest room in the house because I needed the space for the resin designs that Joe and I are doing. And this is the smallest room in the house. Boy, is it tight in here. So I'm just going to put some gesso on there with a little bit of the ultramarine blue. I want this to be so light, but you see that I didn't over mix. I'm taking a little bit of the blue coming in, taking a little bit of the gesso coming in, and it gives a more of a variation. So you see some parts are blue, some parts are white. Just don't put so much gesso that you actually lose all the texture. Then from here, I'm going to decide, okay, what do I want to cover with the paper? I'm going to cover this part because I want to leave this texture all exposed. And then when that's dry, then I can apply to the back if I want. This card is 3.5 by 3.5. All right, so I'll take that. Now, yep, that's dry. I'm going to put that aside. Now I'm going to take this paper and I put it over here because I can't have an ounce of white in the next step I'm going to do. Quinacridone burnt orange. Oh, you know what? I have 2 stencil brushes left. Oh. Guess what I'm going to have to go and buy. I want this to be so light. I'm just pouncing the rest off on the paper towel. I want just a hint of a border. You can make this any color you want. I chose Quinacridone burnt orange. First of all, because it looks like a vintage color. And it's opposite on the color wheel to blue, which will be in the background. So it's going to have some nice contrast. I'm going to hold that down. And it's transparent. Now going into the piece makes the edges dark, but I'm also curling up the edges here. I don't know if you can see that. Let me get a close-up. Some of the edges are getting all curled up. I've got paint all over me. Oh my goodness. Just make sure you blot a lot of that excess off. This side doesn't really matter because we can do this. I didn't blot enough of that off. We can do that when we edge the card later. Just make sure you go, oh, you can't see. Make sure you go inside. It was so much easier filming when I had Joe being my director. You're off camera. Now myself. There we go. Nice. There we are. And then that's going to go right there. Okay, so I'm going to let this dry. Now, while this is dry, I'm going to clean all this stuff up because you know what's going to happen? I'm going to get my arm in that. And all this extra gesso, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take other pieces that I have. Oh, find a brush that's I can use. I'll just take that gesso and I'll just apply it on some cards that I did during demonstrations, just so I don't waste it. And that way I have stuff ready for people. So while I'm doing this, I'd like to get you guys to go in your stash and grab some packaging. Do something. Grab some packaging. Grab an artist trading card you've already prepared. Get it one of your book of backgrounds. This is a nice one there. And get something where you can create a piece of art out of it. Just something small. And I'd like to invite you to participate in a kindness swap. It's not really a random act of kindness because you're going to be assigned a name, but we're going to be doing a little swap and to send your little card out to somebody just for the heck of being nice. So all the information is going to be at the bottom of this video. If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll have to go to the Facebook group to participate. See, it doesn't take much just to upcycle stuff. These are all cards I've done during demonstrations, and this is really too thin for something, so I might mount it on something else. Even this piece of paper here, which I cut from something else, I can take the gesso and just apply. And whatever pieces you have left over from art, do this here. Like, just apply gesso to everything. Then when it's dry, put it into a box and then create a piece of art using all that scrap. You never know what you're going to end up making. Like, even this piece here was something I painted, and it ended up being way too dark. So I could just cover it up with gesso, and it was the wrong shape. That way I have something that's already primed for use later. I'm going to have to prime a lot of pieces to use up all that gesso. I just don't want to throw it away. There we go. Alrighty, so I'm going to go prime some more stuff, and when we come back, when the piece is dried, we will glue, stencil, and finish it off. Alright, this is dry. I did a big cleanup here. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put the interference on here, and then while that dries, I'm going to edge these, let that dry, going to glue everything together, and then we'll put on the crackle paste. So I'm going to use the interference turquoise and blue. Now, the interference colors, they change with the light, and create something quite pretty. I'm going to put that there, and then I'm going to pick up the other color, just so I have some different shimmers. Now I know that there's going to be paper here. I don't know if you can see that. Probably not. You probably can't see that yet. Let me put it on here as well. I'll just take this one here. See what it looks like. It's a very minimal piece with color, very high key, keeping nothing dark on here. And let's take the other one, put that here. Let's just see what happens. Who knows? Palette knife. Put you over there. Okay, so let me just clean that up, and I'm gonna dry that piece, and then we'll glue it onto the board. There you go. So now you'll be able to, I don't know if you can really see right there. I can see like really here, like I've got blue, looks like a bit of violet here, and then maybe let's see on this one. I don't know. The lighting is different from what you see to what I see. And then this one here is a little bit on that one. Okay. So I've got my matte medium. And I'm going to put matte medium on this. Now what I should have done was I actually should have glued this down, then put the matte medium, because now the matte medium is going to probably cut down on some of the shine. But let's see what happens. You never know. Well, I sort of do know, but you never know. This one needs a good amount because of all that texture. I'll put over everything. Here we go. I went just past. Make sure that we have good adhesion here. There we go. Baby wipe. Now this won't take long to dry at all, so I'm going to hit it with the heat gun, and then we'll stencil the butterfly. All right, so I've got the crackle paste. We'll see what happens. I'm going to take a part of the stencil that's going to be easy to manipulate. Right about there. How about that? All right, so I know I want to put my coat there where there's plenty of room. So what I'm going to do is put that there. That way I can put the stencil right on top and put another damp one until I get that cleaned. I don't want the stencil to be too close to the edge. Change my mind. Change my mind. I already did a project using the crackle paste, and I'm going to use... I'm so excited. I'm going to use the modeling paste that's transparent. Then I'm going to cover it with the crackle glaze, which is transparent. And then I'm going to, in the cracks, I'm going to and take it with the mix of titanium white and patina green. Oh, I'm so excited. So, yeah, because I already did a video with the crackle paste. So why do another one? Just this one's going to be a little bit more interesting. So again. Sorry about that interruption in our regular scheduled programming. I got so excited. All right, so let's get that in there. Okay, so again, this is going to take drying time. What I'm hoping is that the text will show through quite nicely. Now, because I've got the crackle glaze going on top, I don't want this to be too thin. But I want a little bit of texture in there. So I'm just kind of going in just a little bit. Making sure I have everything covered. The edges. Okay. Whoops, I missed a spot. Right there. Okay, lift straight up. Lift straight up. Okay. Now I'm going to put that aside. I'm going to clean this one. Then when that's dry, I'm going to come in with the crackle glaze. I'm going to layer that on top. And what that should give us is that should give us a textured, you can see how thick that is, a transparent, thick butterfly with the glaze on top, which is also going to be transparent. So we should be able to see some of the words underneath. So that'll be really, really, really high key. And then when it's all cracked, I'm going to create an off-white. So this is going to be too dark, so I'll lighten it with some white, and then we'll push that into the cracks. And I just got modeling paste on my fingers. Where did that come from? From the stencil. Okay, I better clean up, and I'll be back when that's dry. You know, it's a good thing that I did this off camera because it took 3 days to dry. So I took the crackle glaze and I put it on top of the cracked butterfly. And actually, it's a good thing because 3 days. And look at that. Isn't that cool? You can see a little bit, the text a little bit through that. That's really neat. I really love that look. And then what I did is I took the quote, and on the back, I used the liquid glass because it was thicker, because I wanted the quote to kind of sit up a little bit higher. And I just put it on here just to let it sit for a few minutes. And I'm just going to put it right there. I'm not going to press very hard. I just want it to make contact. Oops, that's bent a little bit. That's one thing you're going to have to get used to if you, or be able to accept it if you're using product packaging, that it sometimes it has a bit of a bend to it. There we go. So see how it's sitting just a little bit higher? Now just realize what I could have done is take a pencil and kind of just make a little bit of a mark on the outside and shade underneath there with some burnt umber. That way when this goes on top, it'll look like it's shadowed. But you got a little bit of the iridescent shimmer on that. Alrighty, so I'm just straighten that out. So, what do you think? I'd love to know what you use for your choice of crackle product, whether it's paste, paint, glaze. What do you use? You know, do you use a crackle paint? Do you do it manually? I know there's a lot of people that use like a school glue. So what I'd like to do is get you to head on over to the Facebook group, post a picture of what you've something you've done with a Crackle product and then put some information in there, especially if you have like a DIY type, to post that, because a lot of beginners are kind of hesitant on trying new things. It's more the perfectionism thing, but also regarding products, you know, so our products are, you know, they're not cheap, and then there's the shipping. That's the real killer. So if there's something that you found that you use and that you really like, please share it in the Facebook group. That way beginners can get a better sense of where to start, and to find something that will work for them. Alrighty, so hope that you enjoyed this, and I'm going to clean up and get ready for my next project. Until then, stay inspired.